We've been spending a lot of time lately looking outward, haven't we? At the relentless churn of activity, all the geopolitical noise, the market forces shaping our world.
Mm.
But today, we're continuing our conversation by drawing the lens way, way in. We're moving from that outside world of, chaos to the quiet internal world of connection.
That's right. We are shifting from the macro to the intensely personal, but we're still chasing that same intercultural red thread. Our mission today is to dive deep into a stack of sources that treat the simplest human gesture, the hug, as a universal language.
A global alphabet.
Exactly, a global alphabet, but one with many, many different and fascinating
I
accents.
love that framing, the global alphabet, because the main observation from the sources we gathered, it really hits you right in the chest. It suggests that there are these very specific, potent moments when one person truly touches another, and the world suddenly expands.
But not in volume.
No, not in volume, but profoundly in depth.
Precisely. The material describes this moment of contact as, well, as opening a door inside you that you didn't even know was closed. And it reveals that quiet, foundational human hope.
What's that?
The hope that you are not invisible. And this need to be seen, that's the universal starting point for understanding why we reach out at all.
So let's unpack that.
Yeah.
That core human need. If we strip away all the cultural etiquette, what is the deepest common denominator here? What are the sources telling us is that universal pulse everyone is seeking?
Well, the undercurrent is always that shared, deep longing to be seen, to be
Yeah.
recognized, reassured. The sources distill the essence of what they call the true hug. And this isn't, the quick, half-hearted side squeeze we give an acquaintance.
Right, the one you do when you're already walking away.
Exactly. This is a held interaction. It requires presence.
And it's that requirement of genuine presence, that held quality, that allows to convey messages that go so far beyond a simple hello. Our sources were incredibly specific about this, listing 4 universal messages that a true held hug transmits anywhere in the world.
And these 4 declarations, according to the research, they make up the soul of the gesture. They communicate acceptance, safety. The first is simple. I see you.
I see you.
Then I feel you. Then I accept you.
And the last one, you are missed when you are not here.
Yes.
That fourth one, you are missed when you are not here, that's particularly striking to me. It implies a sustained relationship, not just a one-off meeting. Why is that message considered universal?
It's a great question. It speaks less to, say, romantic love and more to a kind of existential belonging. The sources suggest it's a recognition of our shared humanity. It's an acknowledgement of your absence from the communal web. So if I reach out and hold you, I am recognizing that your presence matters to the structure of the world, however small that world is.
So it's the ultimate reassurance.
It is. It tells you that you are necessary.
That makes sense. It's a complete sense of belonging. Now, let's connect this to the science. The sources reference it. We hear about oxytocin all the time, but how does that neurological response actually underpin this powerful existential need?
Right. When we talk about the science, it's not to dismiss the feeling. It's to understand the mechanism for the feeling. A genuine hug, held for even just 6 or 7 seconds, it kicks off 2 key physiological responses.
Okay.
First, that spike of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, it immediately starts lowering cortisol, the stress hormone.
So your body's actively trying to calm your mind.
Exactly. But second, and this is what's often overlooked, is the cardiovascular response. Studies referenced in the sources show that during a genuine embrace, the heartbeats of the 2 people actually start to synchronize.
Wait, really?
They
synchronize.
They literally fall into the same rhythm.
Let's just sit with that for a second. That means the physical act of connection provides a kind of a physiological proof.
Mm.
My system is actively matching yours.
It is the deepest form of nonverbal confirmation. It is the body confirming the message, I feel you.
Oh.
And this physical and neurological synchronization, that's the scientific underpinning of the deeper, simpler truth and the sources. All of us, universally, fear not being needed. And a genuine, held hug quiets that fear by biologically confirming your presence and safety. It tells you in that small, safe moment that you are necessary.
That fear of being invisible is universal.
Yeah.
But how different cultures speak that reassurance. And that's where it gets really interesting. We agree on the soul of the hug, but the language of it differs wildly. Let's turn to those cultural rhythms. The contrast between the West and East Asia is, well, it's stark.
It is.
In the West, the sources describe the hug as an open alphabet. It speaks easily and often.
The Western perspective really does view closeness with an external expressive freedom. It's an easy, public, accessible vocabulary, almost a transactional gesture of immediate welcome.
Exactly. The dominant Western message is an immediate declaration. I'm glad you're here. I'm with you. You matter to me right now. And this warmth shifts dramatically even within the West. You see the Italian fire, the Spanish ease often full-body contact, kisses.
Where the default is maximal closeness.
Right. But then you move further north, and the dial shifts drastically. You get the German reserve or the Scandinavian simplicity.
And the research notes that while the frequency drops, the core message still remains. You are not alone in this moment. But the proximity is. It's managed carefully. It emphasizes boundaries.
Which is also a form of respect.
Absolutely.
So if the West uses this expansive open alphabet, then East Asia often speaks in what the sources call quiet poetry.
That's a beautiful way to put it. The difference between expression and intentionality.
Right.
When we examine the East Asian perspective, closeness moves quietly, often without physical contact. A hug is not always the chosen gesture, which means that when a hug does happen,
It means something more.
it feels incredibly intentional, delicate, almost sacred, precisely because it's rare. It carries profound weight.
But doesn't that rarity risk misinterpretation? For a Western outsider who expects that open alphabet, does the lack of a hug signify coldness?
And that's a crucial point of intercultural misunderstanding. According to the research, the lack of a physical hug doesn't signify distance in East Asia. It signifies a deeper form of respect. Closeness is often defined by what is not done, rather than what is.
So how is that connection expressed then? What replaces the hug?
The sources detail these subtle, understated expressions. Quiet acts of service, a recognition of someone's emotional state, the honoring of shared silence. They list some specific examples like a smile that lingers, that communicates genuine recognition.
Okay.
Or the respectful distance someone intentionally keeps to ensure your comfort and privacy. A cup of tea placed beside you without a word, or just a simple nod that says, I feel your heart, even if you're silent.
I find that core concept so profound. Closeness means I hold you by giving you space. It completely shifts the definition of intimacy. It's not about proximity, it's about recognition and honor.
It fundamentally reframes it. It's saying, I recognize your whole self and I honor your need for quiet. The holding isn't physical, it's existential.
Now, let's broaden the view.
Yeah.
Because closeness isn't just West versus East. Our sources gave us these critical glimpses of how other cultures integrate dignity and communal rhythm.
Yes, if we look at the expression of closeness in many African cultures, the sources tell us a hug often carries rhythm, a communal warmth. It's tied to the concept of Ubuntu I am because we are. Closeness is described not as a moment between two people, but as a dynamic network.
What does that rhythm look like in practice? How is the communal aspect integrated?
Well, the research emphasizes that the greeting isn't complete without an exchange of welfare. You don't just ask about the individual, you ask about their family, their community.
I see.
So the physical hug in this context communicates that for this breath, our stories cross. It carries this deep sense of shared history, and it roots you instantly in the collective.
That concept of shared stories crossing, that's beautiful. It's a historical anchor woven right into a simple gesture.
It is. And the sources note that in many of these greeting rituals, the embrace will be followed by holding hands during the conversation, or a continuous light touch on the shoulder.
So it maintains the connection.
Exactly. It reinforces that network idea. You're not just greeting me now, you're integrated into my life system until we part.
And moving from communal rhythm to structured dignity, the Middle East presents another rhythm entirely. The gestures can seem formal, but the underlying sensitivity is incredibly deep.
This is where we see that perfect weaving of formality and intimacy. The need for dignity, for acknowledging a person's status and honor, is paramount. You must establish respect first.
So if the full Western hug is too immediate, maybe too invasive of that necessary dignity, how do the sources describe the gesture that bridges that gap?
The specific gesture cited is just. It's so powerful. It's a handshake that doesn't just end. It transitions. It moves from the firm hand clasp of a formal greeting to a secondary gesture, often a touch on the shoulder or a light hand on the upper arm.
A small shift.
A small, intentional shift. And it means, I honor you, and because I honor you, you belong in my world. It merges respect with connection without demanding that vulnerable chest-to-chest proximity.
It's acknowledgement through structure. So we've traveled from the open alphabet of the West to the sacred silence of the East, through the shared stories in Africa and the dignified honor of the Middle East. If we synthesize all these findings, what's the one thing that all these cultures are truly aligned on?
I think it's this. Cultures differ in gesture, distance, etiquette, but they are astonishingly aligned in one foundational truth. People don't need perfection. They simply need to be felt. That moment of feeling, that acknowledgement of your existence, that's the point where all cultural differences just dissolve.
And this brings us back to the philosophical implication, doesn't it? As described in the source material, if that feeling is the goal, what does this simple gesture tell us about the world we could build?
The sources analyze the true held hug as a tiny model of the world as it could be, a perfect temporary microcosm of human connection at its most ideal.
And what are the characteristics of this tiny model world?
It is warm, it's safe, it's present, and crucially, it is free of hidden agendas.
Ah.
I mean, think about that for a moment. In daily life, so many interactions are laced with agendas. We want something, we fear something, we're trying to control an outcome. But in the space of a true hug, it drops away.
Becomes a small room of dignity where fear softens for a moment. That constant vigilance we all maintain, it just drops away, even if only for a few seconds.
And that momentary lapse of fear provided by the science and the philosophy of it, that's what makes it so restorative.
So the ultimate global truth here is,
It's simple, but it's foundational. A good hug, held but never gripping, always respectful, speaks the sentence every single culture understands. You are a part of this world that makes a difference. That feeling of mattering, of being necessary, that is the most global truth we have.
so what does this all mean for you, taking this insight back into your own life?
I think the main takeaway from this deep dive is that the hug really is a global alphabet. But every country has a different accent, a different rhythm, a different set of rules. The core message, the soul, it remains the same. It's a potent, reliable shortcut to belonging.
And if we revisit that powerful East Asian concept, closeness means I hold you by giving you space. That offers a final provocative thought for you to explore. If respectful distance and silent recognition are true, potent forms of connection in one part of the world, consider how you might apply that concept, that idea of holding someone by giving them space, by honoring their need for quiet self-possession and dignity to strengthen a key relationship, even without the physical gesture. That idea, that is perhaps the next deep dive for you to explore on your own.